5 hyper aggressive growth ETFs that I am watching for the long term. Welcome to the channel. My name is Spencer and I help beginner investors learn how to invest in ETFs. Now in this video, we're going to break down not only these 5, but also throw in an honorable mention ETF that has been beaten down and may be a good opportunity to buy the dip depending on what you think. Now, of course, if you guys are interested in learning to invest and learning about growth ETFs, don't forget to like the video and to subscribe so you never miss out on future video updates. Now, all that being said, let's check out 5 ETFs that I think will do well in the long term. Starting off with an honorable mention, one that is extremely beaten up, the iShares Expanded Tech Software Sector ETF, ticker IGV. Now, iShares is very reputable. They have a lot of ETFs that have been doing really well, but IGV is not. And if you don't know, it is down pretty heavily, down 35% in the last 6 months, 16% in the last year, but high to low, it dropped from $116 to under $75. Now, this ETF specifies that it's following the tech software sector. It really is tracking a lot of software companies that also do tech-related things. Now, the problem with that is there is a company that's private. It's not publicly traded, called Anthropic. And Anthropic is the creator of Claude. And Claude is similar to ChatGPT, for those that don't know. It's an AI tool that has a ton of uses. And one of the uses they recently announced is that they're able to basically replace a lot of software with Claude and have Claude do the job of a lot of these software companies, which caused absolute panic. We saw different ETFs, different stocks, specifically stocks were down even worse, some down 40 to 50%. And now, while that really is a bit of a bummer, it is really good for Anthropic. And since then, things have rebounded quite a bit. But IGV, we can see the holdings: Microsoft, Palantir, Oracle, CRM, Palo Alto, AppLovin, a lot of these like AppLovin, Adobe, Now, a lot of these ETFs absolutely tanked. And some of these also are like cybersecurity, right? CrowdStrike, PanW, I think Fortinet also. But all in all, tech was just bludgeoned because of that news. Now, is it time to buy back in? I don't know. Long term, I think that software and ETFs like IGV will still perform well, but I think it's going to have to go hand in hand with utilizing things like Anthropic's Claude to still provide a lot of value to investors. So I'm not buying this one now. I'm simply not. It isn't at the top of my list. I think there are better options out there, but I wanted to throw it out there as a buy the dip opportunity for someone that might be interested in the overall software and tech sector. Am I going to buy? I might just buy Microsoft outright. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And now we'll get into the first of our 5 buy and hold aggressive growth ETFs. SMH, the Van Eyck Semiconductor ETF, and this one speaks for itself. Semiconductors have been booming, and it's not looking like it's going to slow down anytime soon. An AI bubble popping, which I don't think we will see, could definitely slow this down, but long-term semiconductors, if you're thinking 5 to 10 years out, we're going to need more and more of them. Not even just because of AI, but for a number of reasons. We are using more and more tech in every aspect of our lives. Refrigerators now have screens on them. They have TVs, basically. Our vehicles shifting over to electric, like a lot of people are. Computer parts, components, everything on top of that is pushing for more semiconductors. And that's why I believe long-term in SMH. And Van Eyck is very solid as well. When we go to the holdings, no, actually, well, look at the price return. We are up in the last month. It's up 11%. This one did have a slight pullback down to 360, and now it bumped all the way up to new all-time highs. In the last 5 years, it's up 241%. And that's the issue with a lot of these ETFs, is it's going to be difficult to buy them on sale. Many of them do not dip unless we saw a major market pullback, which you never know when that's going to happen. And if that was the case, I would simply reinvest my dividends. But in the meantime, I don't want to hold too much cash. I don't currently hold SMH, but I have other income-based products that are on the semiconductor sector, which is why I will be adding to SMH potentially in my portfolio or in my wife's portfolio because she is strictly a growth investor. But now, back to the holdings. Looking at the holdings, we can see NVIDIA, TSM, these make up a huge portion of the weighting of this ETF, of SMH. And I already hold NVIDIA outright. So maybe I should sell NVIDIA, put the money into TSM. TSM or Broadcom are both 2 very solid companies, or I can simply just hold SMH. So we have Intel, we have Lam Research, we have KLA, we have ASML, Some of these are a lot higher in volatility, like MU's been all over the place, Qualcomm's been all over the place, Marvel. But what is cool about these ETFs, and the reason I love to invest in ETFs, especially if you are a beginner investor, is you don't have to just simply pick. You don't have to say, I want to hold NVIDIA and MU, and then when MU drops and NVIDIA is doing okay, you're still overall in the red. You can hold a piece of each of them very simply through these ETFs. Long-term SMH is kind of a no-brainer in my brain, but let me know what you guys think. Is this one at all-time highs? Is it too expensive, or do you think it's just going to keep going up from here? Now, this one is interesting. It's a little bit riskier, and it just came on my radar the last couple of days. We're looking at the Avantis US Small Cap ETF, ticker AVUV. And small caps are a little bit different than what I typically invest in because I'm heavy on the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500, which hold large cap companies. Same thing with SMH. Now with AVUV, you do get a little more of that diversification into the small cap sector, which I do like. And in the last 5 years, it's up 57%, excuse me. In the last 1 year, though, it's up nearly 40%, likely due to the fact that interest rates have been being cut and have been lowering, which makes these small cap companies, it gives them more opportunities to take on debt at a cheaper rate, meaning they can overall make more money and expand, which is what happens again when we see those interest rates fall. Now, AVUV, I would say, is a little bit more aggressive. You're going to see financials, industrials, consumer discretionary, a good mix, but it does have also a ton of holdings, almost 800. So you're very, very well diversified. I mean, all of these top ones are only 1% and below. So you're going to have VSAT, Five Below, Macy's, Avnet, CRC, there's Plexus, StoneX, so many of these companies. I don't know all the companies in this one. I'm not an expert on small caps, to say the least, but that's what makes this ETF super viable. You're actually able to hold 797 companies at the same time with one ETF. You don't have to worry about trying to pick which ones are going to do the best, which ones are going to do the worst that you want to avoid. You can just hold AVUV and you're set. So for those that are looking for a little bit more exposure to something that has small cap value included, there you go. AVUV, let me know what you think. And now we'll check out the next ETF. I am long on energy, but specifically one class of energy, one subset being nuclear. And my background comes from environmental science, where I understand a lot of why people believe that solar and wind and hydropower are all viable, but realistically, nuclear is the best. And I'll explain why. In the industry, of course, and I've been in the industry for almost 4 years when it comes to the environmental science side, solar takes up a lot of time to maintain. Unfortunately, you have to clean the panels. And then when it comes to putting it on your house, it is more viable. But the way that it's working now, it just will not be able to. I mean, these solar farms cannot produce enough energy. They just can't in comparison to nuclear. Wind is the same issue. People hate looking at them. They call them an eyesore. And to build those things and maintain them is insane. It's very, very expensive. Hydro, same thing. You have some giant dams and whatnot, but there's a limited structure. When it comes to nuclear, the potential is crazy. For one, there's different tech companies that are working on making smaller nuclear adapters, nuclear power plants that can fit inside of a normal sized house that you could then use to power an entire small city or town, which could absolutely boom the energy sector, and specifically the nuclear energy sector, which I should explain. NUKZ. So this is the Nuclear Renaissance Index ETF, and it follows the VettaFi Nuclear Renaissance Index. So it tracks market cap weighted index of stocks and companies from around the world that are operating within the nuclear fuel and energy industry. So I'm huge on NUKZ. I do hold this one. And the reason behind that is I think nuclear is the future. I think it's the easiest. I think it's the cleanest. And I think it's the most environmentally friendly for sure. But on top of that, what NUKZ invests in isn't just specific. Like, how do you just invest in nuclear, right? It's not easy to do. They invest in subsectors within nuclear, like the properties, areas where there are current nuclear reactors and areas where they might want to build. They invest in the maintenance of nuclear reactors and everything involved in that, because it's an entire asset, these nuclear reactors, and it takes a lot of work to maintain them still. But again, you're able to produce an insane amount of energy from it. So NUKZ, we'll look at the holdings. All of these, again, are growth. Some may pay a small dividend, but the PE ratio is a little bit higher, 25. Industrials, 46%. Utilities, 31%. And we have CCJ, we have GE Veranova, we have BME, you have HEL, we have PG&E, we have Duke, we have Dominion Energy. So there's a lot of Vistra Corp. There's a lot of companies that are we're pretty familiar with, even Samsung, Emerson, and so on, Lockheed Martin, which is kind of funny. But some of these names also give you more diversification where you wouldn't normally hold one of these in your portfolio. But I mean, long term, it's just my opinion. This video is not financial advice. Looking at the chart, it's up 82% in the 1 year. On the 5 year, 172%. And from max, 177. It's not a super old ETF. It looks like it launched in 2024. So we don't have an insane amount of time with this one. But since its launch, I mean, the results have been absolutely amazing. Now, it's not really at a premium right now. It's at 70. So you could have bought the dip if you had, but I don't know about this one. If it's going to keep going up, if it's going to bounce, if it's going to come down with everything happening with conflicts in the world, that's all up to your discretion. But let me know what you think. And of the three so far, do you have one that you would pick over the others? Let me know. And now we'll jump into the next ETF. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I don't fully understand quantum computing. And does that mean you should or shouldn't invest in it? No. If you understand it better than I do, let me know. But from my understanding, they're basically able to use computers to solve insanely complex problems. But I have no idea the use cases of it. From what I've seen, the use case is kind of the issue with what are they going to do with this. But we're looking at QTUM, the Defiance Quantum ETF. And this fund tracks an adjusted equal weighted index of companies involved in the research and development of quantum computers. Launched in 2018. And it's been phenomenal. It's up 61% in the last year. In the last 5 years, 140%. And since inception, 371%. I mean, this thing was literally trading at $20 and it's at $116 currently. Again, there's not a lot of buy the dip opportunities. A lot of the ETFs on this list, sure, they'll pull back when the market pulls back, but they don't stay down for long. And it's pretty amazing to see the performance of all of these. I mean, if you had invested in all of these in the last 5 years, you'd be pretty well off with your investment. Now, QTUM, let's see what it holds, because it's going to hold something similar to what we've already looked at. We can see TER, we see Tower Semiconductor, we see MU, so we're going to have some crossover. Lam Research, some crossover. Nokia, Intel, AMAT. There's so many. Lockheed Martin, again, involved in this one as well. ASML. So there is more crossover between this one and some of the ones that we've looked at so far, whether it be the tech and semiconductors, whether it be, I should say, the tech and software. But I like QTUM. Defiance has a lot of really good sector-based ETFs. Some of their, JEDI is really cool. JEDI, that's their defense ETF and whatnot. But QTUM is one that I wish I understood more about quantum computing. So let me know down below in the comments some use cases if you understand quantum computing better than I do. I would appreciate that, but I still like this one long-term, and the performance definitely speaks for itself. SPMO, the Invesco S&P 500 Momentum ETF. And this thing is a monster. I absolutely love this ETF. It's up 34% in the last year. In the last 5 years, 121%. And what this does is it tracks the S&P 500 Momentum Index. So I think it's 100 holdings of the S&P 500 that have the strongest volatility adjusted momentum. It's like trading a little bit more on hype and movement, which I absolutely love. And the performance speaks for itself. SPMO is one of my holdings. I think I hold 3 of the 5 in this video, but I'm definitely looking to buy more. And I'm really, really impressed with its performance. All of these. Now, okay, disclaimer here. I'm a younger investor. I'm 28 years old and I want to retire by the time I'm 40. Now, if that's going to work, I have to aggressively outperform the market. So those are the kind of ETFs that I'm looking for. Even if we outperform by just a little bit, these sector-based ETFs or specific ETFs make a big difference in my portfolio. I also do hold SPY and the NASDAQ. They are large holdings in my portfolio. But I'm looking to add some more into the growth aspect with SPMO, with QTUM, with NUKZ, and so on. Now, Invesco, the reason they're able to outperform the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 is because of their specific criteria that they're looking for. And it's not the easiest to explain, but they're looking for momentum, and then they also have to have the very solid fundamentals behind that. So these are all relatively riskier ETFs, even though they have performed really, really well. Now, we go to holdings when it comes to SPMO. We can see NVIDIA, Broadcom, MU, Johnson & Johnson, Google, ExxonMobil, Lam Research. Lam is in everything. Caterpillar, AMD, Intel, GE Aerospace, GE Vernova, Cisco. There's so much carryover. SanDisk with these PLTR. I mean, this one has a lot more big names in it, which I really do appreciate. But again, 101 holdings. So it's hyper aggressive. It's not as diversified, but I've been really, really impressed with this ETF so far, which has been absolutely amazing. Now, if you guys want to know my full portfolio breakdown, if you want to follow what I'm doing, what I'm watching when it comes to growth ETFs, income ETFs, use the pinned comment to download or to find my circle group. There's tons of free resources in there, and you do get a free trial for those that are interested. And I am going to be putting on my growth portfolio, my income portfolio, and everything compiling on there. And it's really cheap right now. And again, that free trial to see if you enjoy it. So check that out. It's in the description and it's in the pinned comment. And now we're going to compare all these ETFs and let's see what has been the best and the worst in the last couple of years. Since the inception of each of these funds, our best performer has been NUKZ, up 180%. And this is, again, just from the beginning of 2024. So not a lot of time, and the performance is right there. SMH is in second place with 133%. Then we have QTUM, 114%. We have SPMO with 83%, which you might be like, oh, wow, it's performing way worse than some of these others. That is absolutely phenomenal. You're looking at like a 30+% return every single year with SPMO. And AVUV, being small caps, has taken off recently. It was underperforming the years prior, but now has been doing a lot better. So if we kind of zoom in a little bit more, in the last year, everything changes, right? SMH is up 107. AVUV's in fourth place, still not the best, but last place is SPMO. Depending on how the markets are performing, that one definitely ranges. Then, of course, NUKZ still up 84%, QTUM amazing, and so on. You go 3 years. Some of these haven't been trading for 3 years, but if we do go all time, you can see the oldest one is SMH, which is absolutely wild, up 2,887% since its inception in 2012. I mean, imagine if you had invested in one of these that early on. But that's the goal with ETFs, right? The performance is outstanding. And so some of these, although they're new, NUKZ might look like this in 10 years, in 20 years. We don't know. QTUM might look like this. SPMO might look like this. And that is the goal. So SMH is definitely the top performer all time. But Max, since everything's been happening, since all these funds have been trading, I should say, NUKZ is the top performer with SMH and QTUM right at its heels. So let me know what you guys think about these 5 hyper-aggressive growth ETFs that I'm going to be adding to my portfolio. Again, I hold NUKZ, I hold SPMO. So I do hold 2, and then 3, I'm looking to add more. I do hold a little bit of SMH in a way through some other income ETFs, but very happy with what I've seen with these ETFs. Let me know if there's more that I missed. Drop them in the comments because I'm always interested in what people are looking at. And again, this video is not financial advice. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the circle group.